Talking about the visuals that make up the beauty standard of K-pop, of course, anyone can list out some really famous names like Blackpink's Jisoo, Twice's Chewie, Red Velvet's Irene, or BTS's Jin. However, if you take a step back and look objectively at the big picture, you'll see one of the main reasons helping them be widely recognized on beauty charts, of course with the exception to their inherent stunning visuals, is the reputation of their group and management company. That means, besides the famous names that you're already familiar with, there are many hidden gems that should have received more recognition, but ended up having nothing just because their acts are not as famous. Number 1. Heejin, LOONA. Debuting in LOONA and often referred to by the fancy name, the girl group with 3 times more investment than Twice, it's somehow quite unfortunate for Heejin because she has never really had enough recognition for the impeccable visuals that tick all the boxes of South Korean beauty standards. In fact, this has been quite a famous topic in the K-pop community. And on Quora, there was even a long post pointing out specifically how Heejin's visual was all that netizens wanted in an idol. You know the survival show Mix 9 hosted by YG Entertainment, right? Back when she was still a contestant there, Knuts had already voted for her as having the best visuals out of 98 girls. But as the show was not as successful as expected, this title was also quickly vanishing after her departure. Anyway, back to the Quora post that I've talked about. Compared to the 7 beauty standards of South Korea, the OP pointed out that she checked all of them, with the perfect V-shaped jawline, thin high nose bridge, super small face, double eyelid, pale skin, and of course her heart-shaped plump lips that many girls have to spend tons of money to have. In fact, it's not so hard now to find a female idol ticking all the boxes like Heejin, but she still stands out with the naive puppy smiling eyes that immediately hooked people at first sight. That's why, when putting Heejin in G-Idol's Miyeon, aka another idol that also ticks all the boxes of the strict beauty standard, Heejin still received more votes for the visual as pure as crystal. The thing is, except for when you search her ranking for visuals on purpose like this, you'll hardly see her name mentioned on any beauty chart of K-pop stars. And the popular opinion about Heejin is that her visuals are oddly underrated. What's even sadder is that because she often opens LOONA's song and gets a fair amount of line distribution, many people were also mad at Heejin and ended up disregarding her visual. You know TC Candler, right? Though Heejin has been in the industry for years, she has never once had her name on the chart. Even when LOONA managed to be one of the nominees for TC Candler in 2018, the member on the photo was actually not Heejin but Jinsol instead. Even for the time she got to be on the chart Visual Queens of K-pop, hosted by King Choice, Heejin has also never gotten into the top 10, and the highest rank she got was at 22nd. However, if you pay some close attention to the number, you'll see her votes actually decreased after a year, and apparently that wasn't a good sign. Number 2. Younghoon, the Boyz. As Younghoon debuted under a not-so-big company, Creeker Entertainment, his visual has also been slept on for quite a long time. Even just from his side profile, you can already see how Younghoon is literally a person stepping straight out of a webtoon. And had he not debuted in the Boyz, he could have debuted under SM Entertainment and be the genius face of the next generation. His jawline is defined, nose bridge is prominent, eyebrows are sharp, and if you take a more comprehensive look, you'll see all his facial features are perfectly symmetrical. His surreal visual is also so versatile that regardless of styles the stylists throw on him, he will always kill it effortlessly. The sad story is, despite that comic visual, Younghoon still hasn't received the recognition he deserved. While having been in the industry for 5 years, never once has Younghoon appeared on TC Candler's list of the most handsome men around the globe. Actually, in 2018, some fans did try to nominate him, but as people didn't bother to care, he failed to get into the shortlist. And unfortunately, that was also the last time his name had anything to do with this list. Even when he managed to get into a smaller scale chart like Visual King of K-pop 2020 and 2021, his rank was still pretty low, and the number of votes even went down with time. Even without these visual charts, many people can already see how underrated the visual of Younghoon has been. Under the translated post from Pan, male idols who aren't as known as they should be despite their good looks, Younghoon was named 3 times by multiple netizens. And not until the Boyz drew more attention after Kingdom did people start to go crazy over the surreal visuals of Younghoon. Some even said that he is the heritage of Songdo, and they couldn't stop searching for him after the show. Number 3. Saerom, from S9. Despite debuting under Stone Music Entertainment, the home to many big names like AOA, Tiara, and project groups like IOI and DICE1, Fromis9 somehow still has to struggle in raising their popularity. And as one of some regretful results, Saeom's impeccable visual was also neglected. Even just with a glance, I bet you can already tell how Saerom checks all the boxes in the strict beauty standards of South Korea, like a V-shaped jawline, fair skin, and big eyes. However, as she lacks one big crucial element, aka the luck to debut under a famous group, her dazzling appearance was hardly ever appreciated. In 2019 and 2020, she was luckily chosen to be in the official shortlist of TC Candler, but all she ever got was to stop at the nominee position both times. For the following year, Saerom was also nowhere to be seen, and even with a recently famous visual chart, Visual Queen of K-pop of King's Choice, Saerom has also never been on the list, even once. Saeom's visual was so stunning that after her randomly catching the eye of a netizen in 2019, the person went straight to Hallyu Plus and complained about how that living doll beauty is criminally underrated and should have received more recognition. Not long before that, netizens on One Hallyu also noticed her unappreciated visual and believed that she stood a pretty high chance of becoming another top-tier face in K-pop, which obviously hasn't become a reality, but let's hope she will soon be. Some even said that as Saerom looks like a younger version of Han Chae-young, they hoped she could soon become an actress, as that's what she deserves. Number 4. Jeonghan, 17. While Jeonghan possesses an ethereal visual that can effortlessly nail all styles, from cool to cute and from masculine to feminine, his visual is somehow still slept on, despite being the member of a group with a large and stable fanbase. If you haven't taken some time to admire the handsomeness of Jeonghan, then, well, this is probably the most suitable time to do so. It's also not hard to see how Jeonghan has a super small face, slim nose, prominent double eyelids, and yet an extremely defined and sharp jawline. However, that's still not enough for him to be in famous visual charts like TC Candler, King Choice, and many other small-scale charts voted by netizens. Actually, for TC Candler, he was once chosen to be in the official nominee lineup in 2018, but failed to get further, and for the other years, his name was sadly nowhere to be seen. However, on many K-forums, Jeonghan's visual is quite frequently mentioned, because netizens just found it hard to accept how people keep ignoring him though years have passed. That's why, back in the beginning of this year, many fans have flocked to a post on Hallyu Central, and upsetly complained how those not recognizing the visual of Jeonghan all have bad eyesight. On other platforms like Quora, it's not hard to see comments saying how Jeonghan's visual is super underrated, and he should have gotten more credit for striking the perfect balance between delicacy and masculinity in his look. Or on We Heart It, he was also the first idol to be named on the list of underrated visuals. And if you spend more time searching the internet, of course, you'll see many more similar results like this. Number 5. Bona, WJSN. While fitting to all the requirements of a typical K-pop idol, Bona sadly still struggles to find a stable spot on the visual chart of the industry. Just at a glance, you can already tell how Bona gives off a pure and soft vibe, quite similar to Suzy, with those big dreamy eyes, full plump lips, but still has a charm of her own. However, as WJSN hasn't been doing so well, many people believed it has negatively affected the credits Bona should have received for the past several years. Without needing to look very far, just consider how she managed to be the official nominee of TC Candler for 3 out of 5 years active in the industry, but never once got to climb further. And you'll see how criminally underrated her visual is. Or if you're still searching for more evidence, then, well, just go on some famous K-forums, like Amino, Hallyu Central, The Coup, or All K-pop, and you'll see the overwhelming number of people upset over Bona's visuals being unappreciated. In this poll, she was chosen by more than 41% of people as an extremely underrated visual of Gen 3. And in another post on Quora, a netizen also picked her as the most underrated visual that should have gotten way more attention. Or another time, when netizens were asked about some of the most unappreciated visuals of girl groups, her name was also there, with a bunch of dazzling photos and warming comments, wishing she would soon thrive to become another it girl of K-pop. After this video, do you still believe some visual charts out there can speak loud and clear about who is the fairest of them all? Comment down below to share your thoughts with us. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to BeBoss TV for more interesting content. Thank you for watching.